Welcome, everybody, to Winchester Creatives' inaugural event. Both Dan Benham and I are so thrilled to have you here. For those that don't know who we are, Winchester Creatives is a not-for-profit social enterprise dedicated to helping young creative talent to get in and get on in the creative industry. Our aims are to reduce the feelings of hopelessness and job despair in our young people in Hampshire under the age of 25 years old. We're an entirely voluntary organisation providing apprenticeships and mentoring opportunities, and we were thrilled to have recently received the Local Heroes Award from Winchester City Council. Tonight's event is our first event. It's an opportunity for our young creatives mentees to meet their mentors and to get to know each other a bit better. It's also an opportunity to be inspired by one of the creative industry's most inspirational entrepreneurs. So Sam Conniff, who I am about to introduce you to, is what he describes a pirate who teaches professional rule breaking to some of the world's largest brands. He describes it as the only way left to get stuff done. His book, Be More Pirate, has grown into an international community. And for brands from Lego to Mercedes, Red Bull to Rolex, Sam has been helping to rewrite the rules of businesses. In this informal chat that he'll share with you, he will share his views on the current situation and explore how he believes that rule breaking can help our industry with what comes next. But let me just give you a little bit of a flavour about Sam. Sam's career began earlier than most. In his teens, he ran nightclubs and managed brands across London, an occupation that helped him start his first startup, the now BAFTA-winning content agency called Don't Panic. Avoiding near-death experiences and near bankruptcies in his 20s, Sam went on to found Liberty, the first of its kind ethical marketing agency that today serves an international youth network. Whilst transforming the lives of thousands of young people, Liberty has created award-winning campaigns to connect with world-class clients ranging from Netflix to PlayStations. I'm deeply humbled that Sam has agreed to talk to us tonight. I reached out to him to explain what we are doing in Winchester Creatives, and he was inspired by what we are doing. And for that, we are extremely grateful. You'll find out in this talk how Sam has become a best-selling author with his first book, Be More Pirate, and his latest book, How to Take on the World and Win, and How to Be More Pirate. Both books are available on Amazon, and you can get them directly from his site as well. Please sit back and listen to the wonderful, inspirational words of Sam Conniff. And by the way, Sam has known to use quite pirate language in his presentations. And so in this presentation, you might see a few bloopers that we blanked them out so that this presentation can be available for all audiences. Sit back and now listen to how Sam Conniff has helped to embrace the spirit of piracy, to rewrite the rules of work. Please, it is my great honor to invite you to listen to the wonderful Sam Conniff.
Year that he has experienced to, and his total commitment and dedication to the 25 of you young people who are on this call that made me kind of think of myself in this, and that's actually why I'm here, to be honest, and that's what got me over the edge. So well done you, Richard, and congratulations all of you, mentors, volunteers, young people that were on this program, because this, in my experience of 30 odd years of doing this kind of thing, this is what makes the difference. And right now, when we are about to be let down by the traditional dimensions of leadership, this is not just what makes the difference, but this is what makes the future. So no pressure on you. Knowing that I might get a enthusiastic introduction, I've put some slides together for today. And because today is about doing things differently, and the last thing I want to be is some 40-year-old dude telling you guys that I'm going to put the onus of the future on, that I'm going to do things in the same way. I've tried to do things a little differently. So chances are things are going to go wrong. I just the other day found a way to make my PS4 controller control my creative. So I am going to advocate you young creatives taking risks. I am going to advocate through the next 40 minutes we've got of not listening to grown-ups, which is ironic, seeing as I am technically a grown-up, although not, as we'll find out, actually. And so without the risks, without trying things differently, without making a few things that will fail, none of this is going to make sense. So it's unlikely the PS4 thing is going to work for long, but we're going to give it a whirl. Here we go. So firstly, I'm going to get myself out of the way, if this works. Oi, there I am at your approximate age, from what Richard's told me. The time in my life that I decided not to go to university to pursue a creative career, my creative output was raving. I put on nightclubs and events. I've always had this idea that I was going to change the world in some kind of way. I've never had any idea what changing the world really looked like. All I knew that kind of, dancing till 6 a.m. is inherently good for you. And my nightclubs were called Supernature, and I put them in basements and church crypts all over South London. And I taught myself design, fly postering, the basics of promotion. And little did I know that I was preparing myself for the creative industries. I just thought I was having fun. Engaged a few death threats along the way, got quite badly beaten up, and discovered that the only way to make money in nightclubs is not legal. So it led to a certain kind of series of adventures that led me to where I am today. The next installment, I'm going to have to put myself over here, is Liberty. Somehow this putting together raves led me to this agency that won best agency, best business, best social enterprise, best work. I mean, just the amount of that we won was tremendous. But it wasn't the amount of that we won. It was the amount of young people like you that I saw. And unequivocally, for a man who didn't go to university and always has a chip on his shoulder about it, who has a dyslexia and always has a chip on his shoulder about it, I have never learnt as much in my life from the young people who chose to share space with us as I did from the young people who chose to share their lives with me at Liberty. And I will forever be grateful to them. And your opportunity, I suppose, is the same with the mentors and everything that Richard and Dan have put together with Winchester Creatives. There is nothing that I wouldn't do for young people who've gone through this process. Even if 3 years ago, this was my last real moment as the chief exec. We won the award that night for best agency, an awards ceremony where no agency had ever won, best, all this kind of stuff. And this is me at the back. You can see my little boo font here. And this is our new chief exec, and this is a new team. And I was stepping back, and they were taking that literally as they pushed me off the podium. But that was kind of the point, because Liberty was designed for young people, right? And I started it when I was 23, and people used to say, no. Yeah, 23. And people would say, like, what are you going to do when you get old? I was like, well, I'll definitely stand back. You kind of old people running this thing for young people. And they're like, well, what's old? And I would say, well, 40, because at the time, 40 felt like the apocalypse. It was never going to happen, right? And then all of a sudden, as you will discover, my young friends, 40 rolls around pretty fast. And there I was having to leave because I'd promised this, and a younger generation took over and a new chapter, and they've taken it to places that I never would have dreamed of anyway. But something happened to me. And it's probably not dissimilar to what's happened to you, from what I understand. The contract you make with university is a career, right? The general expectation of you being smart and working hard is at least a job, more than an interview or the possibility of an interview down at Spoons. Like, you've worked hard for what you've come to, and your chance to use those creative skills to make something, the career, the beginning of something, has not been delivered upon. I apologize for that. I apologize for the letdown that you've entered into. It feels similar to this space that I entered into. On leaving Liberty, I had a crisis of confidence, of personality, and of everything. The marriage that had kind of really defined that part of my life was coming to an end, and I got divorced. Liberty, which had really been central to my ego and all the young people and everything that had lifted me up, was no longer mine. And I got lost, and I had this funny little room where I started writing Be More Pirate, my kind of angry letter to change, in this tiny little room. And I lost any sense of my own agency and my own ambition and my own identity. I did not know what to do. And if that's anywhere close to how this year has felt for you, then I empathize, and I empathize deeply. And I did a funny thing. Sat there in my pants, staring at the wall, wondering how to squeeze out another paragraph that may or may not turn into a book or some kind of creative endeavor that may or may not help the world. I tried to reflect on the things that I had done. And I bought some cheap IKEA shelves, and I went and got that box that everyone here has got, that box of the first design you did, the first good photograph you made, the first time you went to, you organized something. For me, it was the first flyer, the first poster that I'd made at Don't Panic, the first, first 12-inch that I'd launched. I've been around a few years, so I've done a few things. And it was only by putting them one by one by one by one on the wall, and then eventually looking at this wall full of things that I'd done. What you'll see down here is a blank frame. And what it was reminding me was that every single thing that you've done to get to this point, every single part of your education, your degree, the side hustles you've done, every single challenge, every single bit of voluntary work, every single bit of design, joining this program, every single one of it is the frames. And the frames define the chapters of what's to come, not the present moment that you're in, not the lack of opportunity or the lack of ambition that others might have, but the journey that you're already on is what's going to define what comes next. And this thought changed everything for me. And I still have a blank frame in my room to remind me of it. And I took that blank frame and began to reevaluate my entire life, right? Looking at a year of like, bloody hell, this is going to be hard. I look back actually at what I'd experienced, and I will now try and, oh, look, the questions are coming in. Oh, here's a point. Yeah, good idea. But before I get full flow, the chat feature, I'm going to enjoy. I pulled out 5 books because I know there's 25 of you. So let's have some competition, death match. Got 5 of my new book. I will post it to you tomorrow for the best questions. And I'm looking for tough questions, difficult questions that make me uncomfortable. If you can get anywhere near that, the book is yours. Oh, look, the hands are typing already. Let's get in there. So we've got another kind of half an hour or so we'll see. So this led me to a reflection on life. And I'm going to use the opportunity to reflect on my life as a chance to tell you my backstory before we get into the full story. So here we are. I'm now going to make myself small in a weird kind of way so that I can do a bit of a weatherman. Here we go. Right. So my life really begins with the death of my father. Aged 5, it was a bit tragic and traumatic event that really defined who I am. The resilience of my mother, however, then taught me a very different way of being. And this turned into the next 15 years of my life, a very inner city South London school. My first creative output was starting a band, but it was the worst band on earth. It was called Fizzy Milk, which is also the worst band name on earth. I was the singer, I was the worst singer of a band. So my band eventually kicked me out, but they let me be the manager, which taught me a little bit about creative businesses. And I started getting them gigs left, right, and center. That left some professional experience, which means I'm going to get my Saturday job. Realizing I didn't want to work in retail, I got a job as a chef. And finally, I found my way to get kind of creative exploration in my jobs. That led me into a real proper job, which I had to walk out of within a year because I couldn't do a real proper job, which led me to the point that there was only one way to go, which was to go it alone. So I did. I started putting on raves, events, and teaching myself design. I don't know how those raves were going to change the world, but I thought they would. The design led me into a world of printing design and print flyers when that was a day. I launched a business called Don't Panic, and I massively overextended, employed all my friends, and got myself into a huge amount of debt, insolvency, and death threats. I had to trade out of debt to get myself into a kind of position, which meant that I started to launch a real business, but a real business led into an existential crisis. What is the point? Is this about making money, or is this about making a difference? And out of that came Liberty, the chance to save the world through the power of creative communications and creative industries that taught me everything. Live magazine, the thing we put together for young people, our version of Winchester Creatives, fantastic journeys and adventures that led to TV shows and everything else. But I got overexcited, I overextended, I overstretched, and I nearly completely went bust. I had to make some of my best friends redundant, but the idea went on. I managed to launch it in America, in Africa. These ideas took hold. I was made a social enterprise ambassador by Gordon Brown when he was once a name drop worthy person. And this idea of social enterprise, brands, creative businesses that were going to change the world really seemed to take hold. And I felt like I was at the center of it all. And this new journey was about to begin, and off we led. And that exact moment, Liberty became central to the 2012 games. We led the Youth Cultural Olympiad, taking over empty space and raising that space up to give young people all over the country a chance to inhabit it and bring their creative dreams to life. This led to all manner of initiatives, programs, awards, recognition. All of a sudden, I found myself really uncomfortable on the global awards circuit for helping young people with less privilege when there were never any young people there. And this challenge, this thought led to me leaving Liberty because fundamentally I began to not believe in part of what I was from. That led to the book, this argument about change and where it has to come from, which sadly coincided with divorce, one of the lowest points of my life. But then I found someone to help me in this new adventure. The response to the book was overwhelming. All sorts of people, individuals and organizations saying they too wanted to be pirates. And this new initiative, this global community began to build up. And suddenly I found myself on the threshold of a brand new career that I couldn't have dreamed of, taking me around the world. If I'd wanted to change the world throughout my career, this funny little pink book suddenly proving a way that you can change the world. and a new career was formed, and I was able to support my my current family. We co-parent brilliantly. It's tragic, of course, but we're very, it's a very happy situation ultimately. And this new world enabled me to pay for it. And then all of a sudden, COVID-19, and within 1 week, this whole career that I'd built, 20 years of life changing, disappeared. And my friends, I panicked hard. I went back to suddenly being in a position of nothing. Everything that I'd built up, every opportunity I'd made, every bit of money that I thought I had contracted went. And the burn rate, the financial outlay, the responsibility of me and at my life stage was immense. And I found myself in March scared and very unsure about what was to come. And all I had was this book and this idea of piracy, the tattoo I'd put on my arm the year before of how much this had meant to me, literally the tattoo on my arm as to where we go. And I can tell you that the idea of being more pirate has saved me. And this is the reason I think Richard and Dan have invited me to be here. So I will now share with you the journey that has taken me on since. Firstly, I recognize that, if you hadn't listen to Richard or look me up, you'd probably be disappointed because I don't look like a pirate. There's no eye patch or beard or sweary rum drinking behavior. It's all herbal teas and niceness. And that's because largely we've got this really broken view of pirates, right? This cartoony view, this Disney orient, it's entirely Disney that have done this, from Peter Pan to Treasure Island to Pirates of the Caribbean, which is wholly untrue. And it's interesting to kind of get beneath that, like why we have this funny relationship with pirates. Because my true story of pirates is one of courage and adventure and mischief and misadventure and really fundamentally doing things differently. And I've pulled out a couple of quick examples because they feel like they're of your generation, certainly as Richard's broken it down to me, of Tej, who at 21 years old lost his promising tennis career and has now created this incredible creative program that takes place in schools that transforms young people's outcomes. Of Matthew, who gets on the tube to address his own anxiety issues and loneliness with a campaign where he holds the banners that helps people feel less lonely. Of Awaja, who fought so hard against her inability to overcome the Home Office's illegal challenge to refuse her immigration status. And of Karina, who fundamentally felt she'd in a dead-end job in her early 20s, who then managed to turn it all around. And this is a picture of her getting her publishing deal. These are the individuals, not the original stories I wrote, because these individuals are the stories of young creatives like you who've come back to me to tell me what it meant to be more pirate. But I'll give you a shorthand. And, I've already set the challenge here. The shorthand of being a pirate, the easiest 101 way, is to get really good at asking difficult questions. Because the rules that being more pirate is about, not necessarily the regulations that are there to protect us, but the conventions, the norms and the behaviors that really desperately need challenging, because they're the reason that sits behind the problem of where we've got to. That people do not speak up, that people do not speak out, that bad things happen at work, in the world, and they're allowed to happen. The danger in the world isn't necessarily the evil people, it's the people who don't stand up against them. And this has become very true and very apparent in my work as Be More Pirate. Now, I know that the conversation here is with a group of individuals who are looking forward to promising careers, right? But there is something to be said, or something to be pulled apart about the world of work. As I looked into this, pushed into this, what are the difficult questions? What's really happening? Why is this Be More Pirate idea suddenly taken hold? And I was traveling the world, going and talking to businesses. I started a series of surveys, of questionnaires, and something interesting emerged. Here is my difficult question that I asked some of the businesses I went into. I asked, let me get out of the way of this one. Have you sat in a meeting recently and verbally agreed to an idea whilst internally disagreeing completely? So has anyone found themselves in this circumstances saying yes to something in a meeting situation which inside they know is the worst thing they've ever heard? Quick raise of hands. Who's done that? Who said yes when they mean ahoy?
I'm usually honest, so I would just tell them in a nice way.
Oh. Well, good for you, Alexandra. Okay, well, you're in the minority, because the answer was 85%. 85% of grown-up adult professionals would do that. And apologies, I will try and be polite. And so then I continued to ask these questions and started to dig into this, right? What happens to those people who've said yes when they mean no? 64% of them go on to actively sabotage the thing that they've agreed to. So something begins to become really clear. The world of work as we know it, the norms, behaviors, and constructs that we are trying to grow up and act into are fundamentally flawed. And this, my friends, is why I believe there is a need for pirates. There is a need for professional rule breakers. There is a need for challengers. Julia Scanlon, the data is from a workplace survey that I did of 4,000 people. So it's statistically accurate. It's not ipsos mori or anything else, but it was to back up what I kept feeling in these studies they're in. So it's a quantitative sample, which takes us to the pirates of the book. And I feel like I need to give you a bit of a kind of insight into the kind of the golden age pirates that got me so excited about this whole idea. So one of my favorites, and I've got several, is Black Sam Bellamy. And there's a reason that I love Black Sam so much. And I've chosen him for this talk particularly because Black Sam is the same average age as the Winchester Creatives. 25 years old. He was known as the Prince of Pirates, the Robin Hood of pirates, and fundamentally so because not for his piracy kind of behaviors, the rum and the eye patches and everything else we'll know, because of the way he addressed this idea of the rules and the norms. Let me give you a taste of how Black Sam addressed the future that had locked him out of his own future. And by the way, for that comment about my politeness and manners and swearing, I will try and subdue my own language, but watch out because this is some pirate swearing. There are some good pirate swear words here. If you're looking for, throw some abuse around the place, pirate swearing at its best. This is Black Sam Bellamy. Damn ye, you are but a sneaking puppy, and so are all of those who will submit to be governed by laws which rich men have made for their own security. For the cowardly whelps have not the courage otherwise to defend what they get by their knavery. But damn ye, altogether damn them for a pack of crafty rascals, and you who serve them for a parcel of hen-hearted numbskulls. They vilify us, the scoundrels do, when there is only this difference. They rob the poor under the cover of law, and we plunder the rich under the protection of our own courage. Had you not better make one of us than sneak off after the arms of those villains for employment? I am a free prince, and I have as much authority to make war on the world as he who has 100 ships at sail of sea. This idea that nascent big business, that government, that church, that state, that all the privileges that exist had let this generation down is what made the golden age of pirates so powerful. 300 years ago exactly, in 1720, in their mid-20s, an entire group of young people decided that the rules of society hadn't just broken, but they just need to be rewritten. And they left that society behind because it didn't promise them a future, it didn't promise them employment, it didn't promise them a career or any sense of fairness or agency in their own lives. And they moved on to these boats, which were sophisticated organizations. And in doing so, these pirates began to challenge the rules and rewrite the rules in ways that 300 years later would still be learning from. And it's not just Black Sam. I could tell you the extraordinary stories of Black Caesar, of Blackbeard. They weren't all called Black for something, anything. I could tell you about Henry Morgan and so many others. I could tell you about Anne Bonny, one of the incredible female pirates, because piracy wasn't just an equal society for people of color, it was also for people of different ages, genders, and backgrounds. Anne Bonny, who rose up to a position of leadership that she would find herself in such equanimity amongst her fellow pirates that she became a figurehead, a fearless icon, because one of the conventions that she was challenging at the time was that women weren't just of equal capacity, but of equal intelligence. And as her fame and infamy rose, her image did so too as well. And amongst the pro-literacy, pro-feminist literary circuits of London, where these early pamphlets arose that gave rise to the suffragettes movement, this one image endured of this pirate queen. And that pirate queen found herself in the studio of Christian Delacroix, who, of course, painted Lady Liberty leading the brave, who, of course, inspired the Statue of Liberty. So I can tell you stories of pirate history, but what I'm interested in is modern pirates. I'm interested in 25-year-olds who rewrite the world, who fundamentally break all the rules that have gone before them and then go on to change industry behind them. Not by following the rules, not by telling them what to do, but by standing up as like, I can give so many examples, and in the book I do, and shortly I'll hopefully give you a chance to give you the book. But from, I call back all the way to Dre, right through to Malala, to Greta Thunberg, instances of young pirates, not just breaking rules, but rewriting the rules, because that's what this is about. A new definition of rule breaking. And I think there is a new definition of rule breaking that is one of the few levers left of change. And rule breaking is no longer a risky thing to do. It is a responsible thing to do. And of course, it has to be right. Piracy is professional rule breaking. It's done in the right way, and there is an ethical conversation to be had. But pirates aren't scared of ethics. So let's go there. The question is, understanding and identifying in our lives the rules that need breaking. It's identifying and understanding what the new rules are going to be. And then it's really being clear about what gets in the way. What gets in the way? Because, you're already here, right? You're already on this program. You've done what it takes to get here. You're already a mentor that's decided to be on this program. So you're challenging conventions anyway. So in theory, the question, what's getting in the way, shouldn't be a difficult one to answer. Can I name any 45-year-old pirates? Me. However, every single time I've asked this question, what gets in the way? It's interesting, creative, people who bother to get up and get on a Zoom call about creativity in the future at 6:30 on a cold evening, right? We should already be pirates. So what is it that's stopping us changing the world like this? And I've had thousands and thousands of answers when I've either asked it in person on the sessions I've done, recordings or everywhere else. And I started to segment the answers that I got sent through so I could maybe understand what it is that gets in people's way. And I began to see patterns emerge, and I got down to about 2,000, pulled it into like 10, got it down to about 4. And then all of a sudden I realized there are only 2 reasons that anyone of any age, any level of experience, any sector, any background gives as to why they're not already stepping up and rewriting their own rules. And do you know what they are? Just 2 things. Fear and admin. That's it. Once someone said to me a hangover, that's the one reason they don't get up every morning and go and be a pirate and rewrite the rules of the world. But fundamentally, the rest of it is there's too much to do, too much in my inbox. They might not let me. I might get in trouble with them. It might limit my fear and admin, which I know is an oversimplification, but it's a deliberate oversimplification to put into perspective, yes, the very real challenges we've got, but also the very real opportunity we have to overcome them. And in moments of fog and confusion and uncertainty like we're in, to recognize it as the canvas for creativity that it is. The book has one message ultimately, and the journey I've been on, and it's this. In one line, you can disregard the entire book for this. It's this: the biggest mistake any of us can make is to believe the way things are is the way things have to be. And I know that's a simplification, but it seems to me to be the truth. And if you look at the pirates and what they did for global branding, because no one had a brand before they did. If you look at the ideas of a dual governance, which they created before anything else, a dual executive of fairness, long before the Companies Act and Charities Act, they did it because they faced corruption and abuse. If you look at social insurance, their ability to look after each other, the first place on earth you'd get what could be called a pension was on board a pirate ship. The first place every single person had a vote. It goes beyond that. The same place there was ever a same-sex marriage with an inheritance clause was seen on board a pirate ship. And I can tell you more about organization, but I can also tell you that the same place anyone saw a cocktail was on board the pirate ship. Rum, lime, mint, sugar. We call it a mojito. They called it an El Draque. All of this could only lead to one conclusion: that pirates are up. And I mean that in a constructive sense, right? That's not my phrase. I was testing this material to see if it was going to work. I was obviously, coming from one world into another. This was a big risk in my life. And I was testing it. I tested it from Brixton to Bradford in the UK, to Baltimore in the US, to Athens. Everywhere I have a network of young creative entrepreneurs. And it was in Soweto, in a township of brilliant and amazing young creative and social entrepreneurs who stood up at the end of a talk that I gave and said, "We get it, Sam, pirates. Yeah, it makes sense. They f***ed up." And I was like, "No, guys, this isn't about breaking things. This is about making things." They're like, "No, Granddad, you don't get it. Where we're from, to f*** up means to go out and be the change." And I was like, "Yeah, that's great. I'm going to put that on the front of the book. Up." And obviously that wouldn't have worked. It would have just been embarrassing coming from me. So what I ended up putting on the book was this much more famous quote: "I'd rather be a pirate than join the Navy." which is from Steve Jobs, who once was very much a pirate. Not that we'd call Apple a pirate now. And it was a chance for me to kind of steal something. And really, I put it in there as a pitch, as you will get to know. In pitches, we make stuff up. And then I realized about halfway through the production process of getting the book out that Penguin fully believed I had permission from the Steve Jobs estate to get this thing out. So there's something to recognize here. These pirates that I'm calling into history, right? This true history of pirates, and it is the true history of pirates 300 years ago, isn't to suggest this is a group of liberals and progressives with ideas that were going to make your world better. No. This was a group of 20-somethings who'd inherited a very unfair world and a vacuum of opportunity and a disinterested, self-interested leadership. And in response, they creatively collaborated, joined together, formed crews, and on boats built sophisticated communities that eventually moved off boats onto land in the Bahamas, and a new organizational structure was formed, a democracy, a proto-democracy that threatened everything. The reason the pirates were destroyed and decimated in the late 1720s wasn't because they drank rum, stole gold, or kidnapped people, and they did lots of bad things, sure. The reason was because they organized themselves in democratic ways with fairness at their core, that they released slaves and gave them equal power, that they gave women a chance at leadership, that they distributed their wealth fairly. And this is the dawn of the age of rebellion. Right? Before the Russian Revolution, the French Revolution, and American independence, the thing that scared the world most was the sense of fairness and a generation seizing what it deserved and was fairly owed. And this is scary stuff, right? And it should be scary stuff. There were 12 royally licensed cartographers at the time, and they were the only people allowed to make maps. And in the areas of the world that hadn't yet been discovered, i.e., raped, pillaged, and plundered by a pretty proto-colonial monarchy, at the edges of those maps, they'd write these words: "Here there be dragons." And that was to ward off the merchant navy or any other sailor to be scared. Now, if you're a pirate, if you're going to step into this space, you'll feel this. You'll feel this because you get these messages all the time. You get them in the headlines. You get them in everything you hear. Be scared of this and don't do this. So for pirates, a counterintuitive culture begins to emerge. A truly creative culture begins to emerge, because when we're told there be dragons, that's where we go. That's where we know the gold isn't yet found. That's where we know the rules haven't yet been made. And there comes this question. And back in that little room when I was putting frames on the wall, this is really what I was doing. This is a line from Eleanor Roosevelt. If you want to know what you should do next, you should know what scares you most. And it's big talk, and it's easy to say, and it's hard to live. But this is fundamentally the world I have lived. And something that's become clear as I've understood the stories of people who've taken on board this moniker of pirate, who've been pirate, is that really the line is that being a pirate is what gives you permission. By taking on board the notion of being a pirate, I choose to give myself permission. And that's what I'm inviting you to do in a world of apparently limited opportunity and availability. You know, there is huge opportunity and huge availability, but not playing by the rules that you've been handed, right? The game is rigged, my friends. The game is rigged. And if you carry on playing by the rules, then you play to lose. And I know that's difficult because it means you have to write some of your own rules, but that is it. And it wouldn't be fair of me to sit here and say, oh, you should go up, without demonstrating a little bit how I'd found it. So let's go back. Two years ago, before the book was out, I'd left Liberty, all my ego and identity. I'd come back to nothing. Might as well have been back as a 20-something myself, you know, losing the marriage, the life, the construct all around me. The world really had crumbled. And there I am at Penguin, right? Feeling bloody lucky to be published by Penguin. And I'm here in this, this is the kind of main meeting room they've got. And if you've been down to London, you probably know Victoria train station. So just by Victoria train station between Buckingham Palace and the River Thames. So it's a major arterial road, huge road, 6 lanes of traffic, buses all day long. And I'm in there being told that my budget for the book launch is going to be nothing. No money, no resources, no time. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? Because in my mind, this is my life's work. I mean, I'm thinking TV ads and billboards. They're like, nothing, brother. So I'm like, fuck. I don't even hear what's going on the rest of the meeting. And I start to daydream. I start to look out this window, and it's not a small window, is it? I don't know which way to point. And I start thinking, back to my nightclub days. I'm like, wait a minute. There's so much walk past traffic here. What if I came back tonight and fly posted this window? Like, that would be big. And so after the meeting, I went and found the building manager for Penguin Random House. And I said, is there any chance I could put an installation, a nice big pink window in here that would match my book? And he chased me out of the building with his broom and said, there's absolutely no way whatsoever. We'd never come back here, never darken our doors. Health and safety, Westminster Council. So I came back that night with a tape measure and I measured it up. And then I went and got a quote, £1,750 it would cost me for a great big neon banner that would fill the front of this listed building in the middle of London. £1,750 is more than I could risk at that moment in time, because I've explained to you the kind of like pressures that I was under. And then all of a sudden something happened. I got a telephone call from someone who had power and someone who had privilege, for whom I had massive respect. And this is the chance that you have, right? Not everything you're going to get is going to arrive by you asking. Sometimes it's going to be by taking. The call I got was from a guy called Tom Weldon. He is the chief executive of Penguin Random House, the biggest guy in the whole building, and a lovely guy. And he asked me my opinion, moving from entrepreneur to author, about Penguin, the processes and everything else. I gave him some insights. He asked me if I'd do a talk. I said, sure, I'll do a talk. I'd love to do a talk, Tom, but it's going to cost you £1,750. He said, £1,750, that's a very precise amount of money, because I was looking at the proposal that I just got from the banner makers. I said, yeah, sure. I can't tell you what that's for. He paid, and I went away and I forged a letter from the chief exec of Penguin Random House. I Googled their logo. I wrote this thing out that says, Sam's got approval to do this thing. I've just forged his signature, just made it up. Like, this is the guy who's publishing my book, for God's sakes. Made it up, stuck it on a clipboard, because, And then I went on Amazon and I bought 3 high-vis vests, because no one messes with someone in a high-vis vest. And on the morning of launch, I went down to Penguin's offices, and me and 3 guys installed a banner the size of a London bus on the front of their building. We went there at 7 o'clock. We were done just before 9. We got a few pictures and some imagery and a bit of a video, and I ran the away. I was terrified that I'd overdone it, that I'd overstepped the mark. And to be honest, it felt like I had, because I got back to my office, having made this. Actually, I've got a little clip of the video here. I can show you. Made this little clip. Oh no, my tea's cold. And it was deliberately about taking the piss, right? Because it was. It was about challenging Penguin for who they are. Challenging the industry that wouldn't allow unconventional approaches, that wouldn't give me permission for doing something different. And they chased us out eventually, but we got it done. And I got back to my office in Brixton, and the phone started to buzz, and it was all the young guys who knew me at Penguin going, you've pissed everyone off. You're going to be the first author to lose their book deal on the day their book came out. And I'm like, oh my God. And I thought I had it all sorted. I thought I'd spoken to a few journalists. I'd written some articles. I'd made this cool video. It all went out. And you know what? Nothing happened. Nothing. It just didn't get any traction. I tweeted into the empty universe. And I thought, oh my God, I've misjudged this. I haven't been this clever, brave pirate. I've just been I've completely misjudged it. I got a really strong email from the managing director of Penguin telling me that I'd abused the reputation of the organization. I was like, I've just totally this up. I've really gone on the wrong side of it. Got to lunchtime, nothing had happened. And here I found myself in a position probably not unlike yours. You've done years of work. You've got the bloody degree. You've found yourself at what should be the dawn of your creative career. And oh, lo and behold, the future has not gone quite to plan. And what are we going to do? I've got this picture of me looking like thinking I'm the smartest person ever. But the reality is that there's nothing going, and I'm about to lose everything. And I wanted to crawl under the table. I wanted to run home. I wanted to go anywhere else. And I decided, nope. The work, I've made the commitment, I've promised myself, and now I've got 2 fears, right? And this stays with me. I've got 2 fears. One is that this is going to go badly, but the bigger fear is my regret if I don't give this everything. And this will happen to you again and again and again. The fear that this thing will go badly, and then try and remember the fear of the regret if you don't do this all. And that is a far greater fear. So I just doubled down. I got on the phone. I started emailing everyone. I eventually got through to various different people that I'd done interviews with or had shown some interest in the book. I spoke to this young woman who'd been at virgin.com. Like, they have a book review site on Virgin. Who knew that? I sent her the pictures. Is there any chance you can do something? And you know what? One of these things kicked off. And at 4 o'clock that afternoon, Sir Richard bloody Branson got the pictures on his desk and he tweeted it. Richard Branson with his 17 million followers. Richard Branson with his reputation, good, bad, and everything else. Richard bloody Branson. And all of a sudden, the thing kicked off. The book goes into the top 100 books in the UK, right? And there's about 6,000 books out every single week. And to get to the top 100, like Joe Wicks has got 120 books, like let alone Jamie Oliver's 150. There's no way my little book was getting into the top 100 books. And it did. Got into the top 60s. And by that evening, I'm in tears. You know, I've lost years of my life. And I get a telephone call from Tom Weldon. He's like, Sam, take it down. Well done, but take it down. I'm like, Tom, mate, why am I holding a PlayStation? I'm like, Tom, come on, like, you know, let's leave it up a little bit longer. He's like, nope, take it down. And at this point, I learned the first of my kind of pirate hacks that I'll share with you now. There are some moments in your life where you're going to get a no. But internally, you're going to know what you should have heard was go. You've done the work, you've made the decision, you've put all your life into it, and you know it's the right thing to do. And someone's going to give you a no. And what you do is you pretend you heard go. So like, all right, Tom, yeah, all right, yeah, thanks very much, mate. Cheers, yeah, woo, cheers, mate. And acted like I had his full approval. So then suddenly I launched into the marketing campaign. I was like, right, retail, what are we going to do? The book's out this week. Can I get myself a window display? Jordan Peterson's book, 12 Rules for Life. Really good book. He's a Yarr. So I just made some displays inside shops that covered up his books. I thought, I'm never going to get a window display at Waterstones. So I went down and made myself a window display in Waterstones. I got arrested for that one. But, you know, it doesn't matter because it turns out I had more books than they managed to have in store. The book got a US contract, a United States contract. The deal came through. And it just so happened I signed the deal 3 days before President Trump made his first visit to the UK. Someone on Twitter DM'd me saying, I've got a 30,000 lumen projector. I was like, I've got three high-vis vests. It's a party. So we projected on the Houses of Parliament a welcome note to President Trump. That got me invited onto the news. I said to the news station on Sky News, it was a Saturday morning, can I bring my 5-year-old daughter? Because on a Saturday morning, I usually take her to her drama club. They said, no, we know what that means. Go. Took my 5-year-old onto the news. It turns out here's a kind of interesting PR child exploitation overlap. Taking a child on the news, especially if it's super cute, means the news goes viral. The book's then out in the States. I'm trying to get Simon and Schuster to engage with me. They don't want to play these games. So I'm like Googling who are the most influential book reading celebrities in America. I would have guessed Bill Gates, right? I wouldn't have guessed Ryan Gosling. Who knew? Anyway, get in touch with their managers, their fan groups. You know, no one's talking to me. Of course, they're not talking to me. So what am I going to do? What am I going to do? How am I going to get my bloody pink book in the hands of Ryan Gosling? How am I going to do that? And I thought, F it. I'll just Photoshop it. So Photoshop my book into the hands of these incredibly big and important American celebrities. That gets me into some serious trouble, like cease and desist, legal order trouble. So, you know, again, you get that no. It doesn't happen that often, but you get that no, and you're like, no. I know I'm on the right track. Your no is coming from the past. Your no is coming from your fears that you're projecting on me. Your no is coming from your institutional frame of reference, and I'm the future. God damn it, this is a go. So where do you go when you get that kind of no? I went all the way, all in. I mean, you know, you just, whatever you do, don't do this. Don't do motion tracking of your own book on top of Oprah Winfrey's book of the year, because that will get you in big trouble. The managing director, publishing director, marketing directors of Penguin Random House and Simon & Schuster sat me down and they said, listen, Conniff, are you here to sell some books? They didn't say that. They said, are you here to sell some books? Or are you here to start your movement? I was like, movement? Movement? What movement? And something began to click in me. And this is a question that happens to us all. And it's happening to you all, you know. But were we here waiting for the opportunity that was supposed to be spoon-fed to us when we knew that nothing was coming but disruption? Dudes, the next 10 years is going to be nothing but disruption. The decade of disruption. And hopefully at the end of it, a very different world emerges. So waiting around for what used to be is a dead game. And this was one of the best meetings that I've had. Whilst I was being told off, whilst I was being told I was in all manner of trouble, what it taught me was, what am I willing to sacrifice? What am I willing to let go of? I've worked so hard to be here. I've got so much to lose. All right. They're right. The movement is the important thing. And I started to look, and as soon as I did, I realized that my inbox was full, my DMs were full of people reading the book and deciding to change their lives. You probably can't read this one. It's a guy, one of the first emails I'd written of someone saying that they'd read the book and decided to leave their job. You know, I got all manner of messages. Here's a crazy naked guy DMing me on Twitter. I've read your book and I've decided to take a campaign to the streets, tackle like the fixed odd betting terminals. That's a campaign that is winning. I was getting hundreds of these things. And I just assumed they were nutters. Like, this is what happens when you write a book. But I started to dig into them. I started to interview them. I started to talk to them. This guy finished your book. Tomorrow is day one. Tomorrow is day one. Can you imagine how it feels to give someone a day one scenario that they decide that at that moment, everything they knew is dead and everything is going to begin anew? A day one scenario. I started to think, God, you know, for someone who's spent their whole life trying to make some change, like maybe this little book of change is making the change. And I spent the next year and a half interviewing these people, understanding where they come from. And that's what this book led to. Because I'll tell you the truth, right? This book, the first 2/3, maybe the first half is pretty good. It's quite funny, make you laugh and make you think. The last bit is for fudge. Right, I got to the end. I'm like, well, I'm making this argument about how to be, you know, I don't really know. I don't know what I'm talking about. The last bit is really muddy. So this is me like losing confidence in myself, losing confidence in the future, and having to go and interview nearly 1,000 people to believe in myself. Like, I mean, you know, talk about imposter syndrome. And I self-published it because I couldn't get a publisher to do it. Right? Like, this is an act of verification in the extreme. But 1,000 of stories that begin to tell that story. And so this brings us to a close, my friends. These are the questions that have defined my life, where I've been able to take some risks and been able to make a difference. Understanding the rules that need breaking, not the rules that are going to define you. I think Dan's waving at me. That means it's time to finish. Getting close to what your new rules are going to be. Not the ones that you've been handed down, not the ones that don't feel like they're working, but yours. Who is your crew? Of every single interview we did. Oh no, Dan's waving his door. I thought he was waving at me. I thought it was like, you know, the shut the f up message. But no, sorry, Dan. Understanding the rule you're going to break, fundamental. But anyone can break a rule. You know, I get that asked a lot. Isn't you know, Donald Trump a rule breaker? Of course, yeah, but the thing that defines piracy from every other rebellion in history, you know, that you can name them, any one of them, from Mandela to Marx to Guevara, you know, they would turn in their graves to think what their rebellions had turned into. But the golden age of pirate rebellion is pure because they redistributed power properly. They were a generation unto themselves. They had this crew mentality. And this is your opportunity, my friends. Knowing the rules need breaking, knowing the rules you want to make, and knowing you have a crew. And it's a small group is all it takes, because the success is that others begin to follow your rules. That's how culture changes. The waves, the big waves you make at the edges that end up permeating the center. That's what makes a new trend. And as we've seen, every single one of those, you know, social insurance, same-sex marriage, cocktails, you know, dual governance, branding, they weren't pirates trying to change your world. They were trying to change their world. And this small group of creative, brilliant individuals who committed to this. And this is what this book finally told us. Rebellion isn't always a mass demonstration. More often than not, it's part of your 9 to 5. The idea is big, but it lives out in your day-to-day. It sits on your to-do list. Some mischief on your to-do list every single bloody day. Yes, with a big idea. Yes, certainly with the crew you believe in. Yes, fundamentally, the Winchester Creatives, and we're going to do something about this world. And when you've got an idea of what that is, finding a small way that you deliver on that every single day. And that's it. The underlying principle is clear. The biggest mistake we can make is to believe the way things are is the way they have to be. And this has defined me, has defined my life. I didn't think I was going to be a pirate ever. I am now. I've been inducted into those 2 last brethrens in the world. There's about 250 real pirates that exist. I am tattooed up my arm for it. I could tell you some other interesting pirate stories, but I've told you these because this is what's changed me. as a not so young creative, as someone whose future suddenly felt pretty limited, as someone who perhaps has access to knock on some doors that you're beginning to be able to knock on, but knowing that nothing is really going to come unless you're willing to take some risks. And that, my friends, is where we are. Now, for you, I'm going to break another rule. I'm not allowed legally to give away copies of the book. So I've just set up an out of office before this call. So if you ping me an email now, you'll get my out of office, which has got a WeTransfer link to the audio book of this book. So you can just enjoy that if you like. I'll take it down in about 50 minutes when I go and put the kids to bed. But it's all yours. And this is my email because I can't stick around for too long for the Q&A. But if I can help any of you young guys, then I will do my best. I'm shit at emails. I'll probably sign you up to my newsletter nonetheless. But now let's say hello to each other. And we've got about 10 more minutes. And so I'll have a look in the chat and try and answer the best questions I can. Thank you very much. Good luck. Lots of love.
Please can everyone just go to gallery view, and Sam, just have a look at the effect that you've had on all of us, please.
Oh.
I'm sure I speak for everyone here to say that that is an extraordinary talk, and one I hope that will stay with us for a long time. Now, I've gone through all the questions, and for the sake of time, I've decided to bunch them into 3 categories, if that's okay, Sam.
Oh wow, you got loads of questions. Thanks, everyone. That's really good. Can you,
Richard,
would you download the questions for me? We won't be able to get them all, but like there's some just really smart things here. I'm just seeing really quickly, and I don't want to do anyone the ungratitude of not replying properly.
I've got them all down here, and I've categorized them into 3 areas. We'll save the chat afterwards, and I'll ping them to you, and we'll make sure.
All right, sweet.
So I see this questions breaking down into 3 or 4 key areas. So the first are macro questions about the world at large. The second section is more around looking at youth and confidence and getting over kind of that imposter syndrome element. The third is more reflective questions about, yourself and looking at your younger self. And the last is a few fun questions, which we'll leave on.
Okay, so good man.
I'm gonna lead with one question, which is, Sam, are institutions failing young people right now?
I'd say institutions are just failing. So of course they're failing young people. There's two parts to this. If you were to reframe or rename young people, you would be talking about one of the most disadvantaged, vulnerable groups in society. Identity politics and really good causes means that we've understood things slightly differently. So, this year very rightly has been dominated by Black Lives Matter. Excellent. There is a horrible rise in domestic violence, particularly in groups who haven't experienced domestic violence before. Okay, very much needs addressing and understanding. Thank goodness a greater degree of focus around refugee issues has taken place. Yes, young people are a vulnerable group in society, a disadvantaged group in society of extreme proportions, overlooked routinely again and again and again. But because there isn't a specific demographic that holds them together, it's much harder to occupy and understand that space and put behind it the kind of policies or programs that might then benefit it. And that's necessary sometimes for support. And it's difficult when you're being isolated or you're being framed as a particular ethnic background or a particular life stage as caused you to be who you are. And there's dangers with that. But because young people is such a broad group, we don't understand how we're not able to engage with how problematic the experience of being young at the moment is. And I can't underestimate, and I chime with you in the report that got you here is, I'm sorry the work was so difficult and the truth is so hard, but I'm glad you did. And I can't, to you guys, express the regret that my generation hands over to your generation with this. I think it's really tough. I think you've been handed a shovel, and that's deeply unfair. And I think that's got worse in the 20 years that I've tried to serve young people. So I'm conflicted about that. then the question about institutions, have institutions failed? Institutions have always failed young people. Young people have not voted in large numbers. Young people don't organize themselves well in young numbers. Young people don't hold on to traditional blocks of power. And so institutions have let you down. But the interesting thing, where this now gives rise to some optimism, is institutions are failing. Like the idea of education, the notion that anyone would believe that education is holding anywhere near pace, delivering the skills that the future needs, that's dead. The idea that education is doing something equal across the breadth of it, that's dead. The idea that health or justice, anyone who's been anywhere near the justice system knows that's fallen over. The idea of democracy, modern Westminster parliamentary style democracy, that's dead. That doesn't represent us. So the large institutions that were brilliantly built hundreds of years ago to serve the world as it was, naturally are decomposing before our eyes. Now that's very scary to live through that transition. But if you look around, you see incredible education programs taking place. Just look at YouTube is the biggest university on earth. Not all good, but by God, it's got the scale. Incredible pro-democratic programs. Fridays for Future, that's how change is going to look in the future. So at the same times, the institutions of the past crumble around us. And I'm sorry, guys, this is falling on your generation. It's not fair. But it is your canvas, not your cloud, but your canvas to write the new. And the new institutions are already forming. They're in their embryonic and seed-like stages. And it is the best thing that can happen for change, is to let these institutions we've had that did their best and are now failing to graciously collapse, whilst building the new, the evolution, the what could be better, and the what comes next. So yeah, hopefully intergenerational, mass institutional transformation in the next 10, 20 years whilst we've still got a chance.
Wonderful answer. Thank you very much. Now, we've got the answers from our first poll where we asked people how they're feeling about their prospects for 2021. I'm going to just share the results to that. And what's interesting is quite polarized, that we're having 17% that are really quite low, and there are some people who are quite high. We've got to remember that there is an intergenerational issue here. So we've got quite a few adults in the room as well, but there are some young people. So I'm going to share those results now in terms of how people are genuinely feeling. And then what I'm going to do is, whilst I've shared that poll results, for those people who are feeling a bit low, the question around youth and confidence, there was a number of questions that came around about how do you get out of your confidence or ambition flop? How do you challenge yourself each day? Or as somebody else mentioned it, is sometimes there are low points where it's a metaphorical wet Wednesday and you're lying in bed with a hangover, with nothing in your diary, no voicemails on your phone. What do you say to yourself to get motivated, get out the day and make the change that is necessary?
I really want to be honest with you, and this is exactly where I'd like to try and default into finding something inspirational. I've had some days when I just really don't want to get out of bed. Like this last few months. Ooh, hold on one second. The door is really banging. It's the nature of doing this on Zoom, right? Hold on, people.
While we wait for Sam, I'm going to launch another poll. So I'm just going to do that. And
that happened the other day, and it was the cops. It was really embarrassing. It was quite a big meeting that I was doing on Zoom, and there was cops doing a missing persons investigation on my street. Imagine that, trying to get rid of the 5-0. The last few months have been really extraordinarily hard, right? And there were mornings of so I think the first part is seeing the signs. If you are looking at your day and there are meetings or things you're supposed to do and you do not want to do them, in fact, you're hoping that they cancel on you, that is a warning sign. If you're hoping that meetings and engagements that you've got are canceling on you, bells should be ringing. If you have got ideas or opportunities and people that you know in your world and you don't want to email them, you don't want to write to them, you don't want to call them because you think they don't want to hear from you, that is a warning sign, right? And if you've got this kind of beginning of an idea, but you won't even start to put it onto paper or onto a screen or however your creative method is, that is a warning sign. So I was experiencing all of those warning signs. I was hoping that the people who were, wanting to speak to me didn't want to speak to me. I was hoping that the paper would evaporate. I was hoping that, and those are really, really, really tough times. And the only way to, firstly, is to know the warning signs so you can see them coming. And then you need to unstitch them in exactly the way that they stitch themselves around you. And I had to grab myself by the neck, really. I had to, being really frank, not drink for a couple of weeks, which then extended to 2 whole months because that was one escape. I really got into some physical exercise and started doing some fighting, not in a street sense, but in a practical sense, to get myself physically out of my mind and just and at the same time, I had to sit in my own for a while, see how bad this had been, how bad it could be. And in that space, I found some answers. And there is a relationship between creativity and kind of introspection. And something began to become really clear. And then I was once criticized by, they were talking about, I have a problem with optimism and reality. And certainly when I was a boss, when I was at Liberty, there was a big criticism. You need to be more realistic. You're too optimistic. I was like, oh God, sorry. And now you know what? My response to that is that I am over optimistic and I am unrealistic, and that's what gets me through. Another way that I was once criticized was saying that I deal in future truths. I was like, what are you saying like that? I mean, future truth sounds like a lie, right? But actually, future truth is what gets me by. Future truths, I feel grateful. I experience gratitude for my future truths. I have such a clear picture of where I want to be. I've written my next book and I haven't written a word. I've experienced what I'm going to do around the marketing campaign and I don't even know what I'm going to do. I know where I want to, the impact that I want to make in the world, the life that I want to create for my daughters, the security I want to have, getting out of this little nice but rented house. And I know it and I see it and I inhabit it. And I feel grateful for it. And there's something weird, like the act of gratitude for the future that you're going to inhabit leads you towards it. And that's a much better way to spend your day than worrying about things that you can't have any effect over. So,
and Sam, thank you so much for your authenticity, your vulnerability, and your clarity on that point. Do you mind if I just ask?
I was rambling slightly, to be honest.
Just the last question I'm going to leave, you can leave us with, which is, what parting advice would you have for an under 25-year-old now who is looking at their future ahead of them?
Don't trust the grown-ups.
Wonderful.
Honestly, we're all making up and we'll be making up forever. There's some people here, your mentors and this network, these are people who desperately, also want to reach out and help you and create lifelines into the future. I've seen a few people comment on the chat, the decade of disruption, right? You're going to enter into a stage where there is so much opportunity. And that's probably it. The piece of advice I'd give you is, whilst everyone else considers this uncertainty, the benefit of your age is that you can view this as opportunity. And if you look to history, the times that people, and it's usually a younger generation, rewrites history is because they see past the fear. And they see ambition and they look directly into the fog and they see the chance for creativity and they see the stuckness that everyone else has got. And out of stuckness, they believe in yourself, because there is no right or wrong at the moment, right? And in the moment of moral relativism, when there isn't right or wrong, all you have is choice. And you all have the ability to make a choice about what you do next. And that's what you've got. So use it and choose it.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to ask you all to give us a virtual round of applause for the extraordinary talent that is Sam Conniff. Thank you, Sam.